Hello. Uh, okay, so I'm just taking this video because I just wanted to speak about the title, which is Losing Your Pet. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this now was that, so my dog just passed away this week. You may have seen from my social media. And I mean, like, if I'm being honest, I don't feel like talking about it now. I'm in a very like a hermit mood. I'm like, I literally feel like I just don't ever want to talk to anyone again. But then I reasoned that I wanted to actually film a video of when I'm in the actual situation rather than when I'm outside of the situation, because I feel like once I've recovered from something, it's just gonna feel more perfect, if that makes sense. Like, I can be very good at being like, hey guys, da 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 da, like, this is what I learned, and like all this like matter of fact stuff. And I just feel like it would be different if I filmed this video afterwards as opposed to now, because now, like, I'm actually in the situation. So yeah, I don't know, I haven't written any notes or anything. I'm just kind of going to speak about it. And I mean, the other reason why I wanted to talk about this was that I know it's very weird, like a lot of our friends' dogs have passed away last week and this week. I don't know if heaven or wherever dogs go after they die has called up who wants to come to heaven this week, because like a lot of pets I know have like passed away this week. So I felt like, I don't know, maybe if I made this video it's more relevant now. I mean, obviously it's going to be relevant whenever. I mean, there's no time limits or whatever to any of this. And then I also just wanted to speak about how if you have lost your animal and your pet, or your pet, whether it be a dog, cat, bird, tortoise, rabbit, etc., you're allowed to experience emotions and you don't have to feel ashamed for however you're feeling. Yeah, like that's just a big thing I want to say. No matter what you're feeling, you're allowed to feel that, and it doesn't even have to be the same as what anyone else is feeling. Like for me, this is the fifth dog that's now died in my family, and all the other times where I've experienced an animal passing away or a pet passing away, every single one has been completely different. I mean, my actual reaction to them has been very different. So yeah, not everyone's going to react the same. And also with like, I know you may have heard the 5 stages of grief. I mean, the way they describe it, it's like, oh, first it's the denial stage, and then it's the anger stage. But I was speaking to my mom about it, and she's like, there's no order with this stuff. You can be like depressed in the beginning, and then angry at the end, and 400 years later, after you feel like you've recovered, you can like burst into tears over it. So there's no textbook answer to how you can feel about this stuff. So yeah, like right now I am, as I said, I'm like in the hermit mood. It's weird because like half of me feels fine and is like normal, happy, like hey, la 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 la, like I actually genuinely feel fine. So like don't have to get concerned about me or anything. But there's another part of me that's just like, I just like honestly just feel like never speaking to anyone again. Like I just feel like literally like like I know that this might sound bad, but like I'm just gonna be honest, I feel like dying in a hole. Like I feel like this depressed feeling, even though I've never had depression before. I don't even know if it is that. And it's weird because like I said, half of me is like happy and fine, and then the other half is just like, just want to die in a hole. And I don't really want to, it's just like how I feel. Like it just like, I feel like so much anger, and it's not anger towards anything. It's not like, oh, the situation's unfair. Like I'm not feeling that, but I just feel like this anger and just like never wanting to speak to anyone ever again. Yeah. Okay, but just to give you like some context about my dog who passed away, you may have seen from our social media. So his name is Cheeky. He's a Jack Russell. He's been in our family for 14 and a half years. We got him when he was a puppy. And then, well, my mom thinks he got this thing called canine. I'm just reading because I'm not very good at biology and stuff. But canine degenerative myelopathy. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. But basically what happened to him was that like he slowly started showing symptoms, but it was quite subtle. So Cheeky, and if you know Cheeky, he was very energetic. He's a Jack Russell. Very energetic, bouncy, happy dog. Used to like fly over the couches, used to jump all over everything. Very energetic dog. I remember at dog training, he wouldn't sit. He literally would take off and everyone would have to run after him. So that's always just been his personality. And then this thing basically meant that he couldn't jump up on things anymore. So he couldn't jump up on the bed or the couch. He couldn't low fly over anything anymore. So he was kind of showing symptoms of that. And then this week it was very unexpected, because I even remember at the beginning of this year I was wondering like when he was gonna like pass away. Actually, it was last week. I was wondering, like, I wonder when we're going to know when to put them down, because in our family we don't want our dogs to suffer. So once they start not having quality anymore, that's when we take them to the vet, and we feel like that's the best. So I was wondering like when we're gonna know, because he was not perfectly fine, but like pretty fine, like functional last week. And then yeah, like what was interesting was on Monday night. Well, my parents said that like in the early hours of the morning, so I guess it was Tuesday morning, he jumped onto my parents' bed, and it was apparently quite random, and then he was like getting cuddles from them, and then they said, off you go back, well, they were after cuddling them, and they were like, off you go, Cheeky, and then he stayed, and they continued cuddling him, and then eventually he went back to his bed, and then when he woke up, like an hour later, he was like, I don't know, just like not himself anymore. Yeah, like it was completely different. Like he just wasn't his bouncy self. Like we feel like it got to his brain. Yeah. Anyway, so then we were like, oh, we wonder, we wonder if it's just like, I don't know, maybe he's got food poisoning or something like that. And then the next day we saw that he was still exactly the same, and then we were like, okay. And we think like he knew, like, it's like say goodbye to my parents, and yeah, I don't know, it was just time. And yeah, like since then how I've been coping, I don't know, like I'm someone who like kind of checks things off the list. So it's like, I kind of just expected, okay, because like I completely agreed with the decision to put him down. Like I was very like, it was very right, it was the right decision, and I was like, okay, I've come to peace with that. And then I was very surprised when like the next day I woke up and like started crying immediately. And it's like, I don't know, like I kind of just expected, even though I've been through grief before, I kind of just expected to, okay, now that's done, like let's get on with our lives. But it's the thing that, I think also like the thing that's making me angry is like, there's so many little things that remind me of him. And it's like consciously I know he's not here, but subconsciously I have habits. So if, for example, I walk into my mom's office, he's usually always like sitting on the couch there. So as soon as I walk into her office, I look at the couch, and then it's like, oh, it's not there. And it's like every 30 seconds, I'm reminded that, oh, he's not there. Example, like if I hear the leaves moving around outside, I'm like, oh, like I wonder if Cheeky's coming, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, no. So it's just like these little reminders, which I don't know, it's just like super hard. Yeah, I mean, the other thing I just wanted to say was kind of just because as I was saying, I've experienced like different types of grief before, so I was just going to speak a bit about like how it was like when my other dogs all passed away. So my first dog who passed away, her name was Kara. She was a spaniel and she got cancer. I can't honestly remember the details of it. I just know that I remember that when she got diagnosed with cancer, I think I was about 6, and then my mom, I think maybe she did die that day. I can't remember the details, as I was saying. And my mom got like the phone call, and then she was explaining to me, like she drew a picture of like what had happened to Kara and like the cancer and everything, and she was explaining it to me, and then I just remember crying, and we were like sobbing on the couch. That was in my old house, and yeah, I can't remember anything other than that, but I guess that was the first experience I ever had with grief. Then the second dog who passed away, it was actually technically like the third dog I got. Anyway, this was, you may have heard of her. Her name was Rascal, and yeah, like just an absolute traumatic experience. I feel like this experience is probably the reason why I can be so like controlled with my emotions and like, okay, like you grieve, now like move on. I think just this whole experience, oh, it was terrible. Anyway, like Rascal got run over when she was 3 years old. I was about 9, and it was just terrible, like horrible. And yeah, like, and the thing that made it so much harder was that people just, they didn't understand. Like, they didn't understand, like, how hard it was. And, like, in a sense, like, I'm happy now that people seem to be more understanding of, like, pets are part of the family. And you don't just have to, it's like, I felt like there was this stigma when Rascal died that if it's a human or your gran or your mom, then you're allowed to be upset and grieve. But if it's a dog, like I remember people just saying like, oh, it's just a dog, or like, just get another dog and stuff like that. And yeah, I don't know. Like obviously those things like get to you. So yeah, like, that like got to me. And yeah, it just made it like so much harder because it was like, oh, by me grieving, I'm inconveniencing everybody. But I mean, it was horrible. It was traumatic, and people didn't understand that. Like, Rascal was like literally like my other half, and it was only like interesting enough when my 4th dog died. That was when I like processed Rascal, and that's the interesting thing is that now every time a dog dies, I go back to all the previous deaths and like go through everything all over again. But when Misty died, I went back to the Rascal thing, and I saw some pictures of me with Rascal, and I just realized like there was such a bond here. Like we were so connected, and people just didn't understand that. And people made me feel like I was wrong to grieve over it, and it was just like Rascal was literally my best friend. Like I'm an only child, so she pretty much was like literally my sister. And like it's hard. Yeah. That was terrible. And then who else? Then when Siska died, Siska was a Ridgeback. She died of old age. It was weird, I didn't cry when Siska died. I think I cried once, and what was also interesting was that like a few days after she died, I think she just died of old age. I can't remember the exact thing. But like I had a dream that she was outside my bedroom door, and I don't think it was a dream. I think it was like a spirit kind of thing. I don't think I've ever experienced that with any of my other dogs, but I can specifically remember her like being at the door when I was sleeping. And then I think I woke up and cried after that. And then yeah, I don't know, I just got that I feel like it was a spiritual thing. Then when Misty died, she also had cancer and was just like wearing away. And it was different with her and Cheeky, because Cheeky was so unexpected. But with Misty, it was a very gradual thing. Like we knew we had like 4 months to prepare for it, and then we made the choice. Okay, we think it's time, because she was just so skinny, and we didn't want it to get to that stage where she was in a lot of pain. I mean, she already was in pain, but yeah, I mean, it could have been so much worse. And then that was the only time I've ever been to the vet and seen one of my dogs being put down. So I don't know if you've ever experienced that. My mom has always been the one in our family who's done it. I couldn't do it I didn't see Cheeky being put down this time because I had to take my granddad to get his medical done. I think, I don't know, is a medical the right word? Yeah. So I had to take him, so I couldn't go to the vet. No one else could do it. And I know it's like selfish, but I was kind of relieved that I didn't have to see it, because like I said, I saw it when Misty passed away. I saw it all happening, and I just didn't like that memory. I mean, it was like, I guess, a curious experience, because it really helped me see the fact that, let's just seeing if there was anyone behind me. It helped me see the fact that, like, that alarm is going off, so sorry, but like, I feel like dogs do have souls, and they have life to them, and then when you experience a dog being put down, it's like the life disappears and it's just a body. And I mean, my mom and I were busy speaking about it, and she says that, well, actually, and my dad as well, we were saying that, like, the vet always says, like, after they put the dog down, they're like, oh, do you want some time with the animal to say goodbye? And we're like, the animal's gone. Because I remember, like, after the vet put Misty down, and then she was dead, and then he was like, do you want to say goodbye? And like, I was like, walked out the room, because I was like, this isn't Misty, this is just a body. Her soul's already gone. Yeah, I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, that's just like was my experience of the whole thing, was that as soon as the animal's put down, it's like, it's just a body, and it's not them anymore. The energy doesn't exist there anymore. And yeah, and that was also the interesting thing I worked out from Cheeky, is that I feel like his soul is still whole and complete, and it obviously is not here anymore. I mean, I guess it's all around us, and it's also part of a memory. Like, by me thinking of him, I hold Cheeky's energy. So I don't know if there's like heaven or anything like that. So maybe he's there as well. But I'm just saying, like, it was interesting to see his body couldn't host him anymore. Like, the soul couldn't stay in a Cheeky form because the body was like deteriorated. And yeah, that's just what I find interesting. Like, I don't think he's gone, because like I say, I think the energy still exists, either like around us or in all our minds or as a memory. But it's just not in his body anymore. So yeah, this might be like a random thing. Like I said, I didn't really plan any points. But yeah, I'd just like to end it off. I just want to reiterate the fact that if you are going through like a situation like this, or your pet has died, it's perfectly justifiable however you are feeling. Like, if you feel depressed or angry or normal or fine, or if you don't even feel sad, it's perfectly fine. And like I said, you can feel different things on different days and with different animals. Like I said, with all my dogs out there, just experienced grief different. Oh yeah, I was also going to say with Misty, what was interesting was that I remember we put her down, and then I went back to Braamfontein. So my family lives in Benoni, and then I lived in Braamfontein. So what was super interesting about that was that once I left, it was hard. I didn't like process it the same as my family. So when you're actually in the it's like since they were here, they noticed the little things like, oh, Misty didn't do that, oh, we didn't see Misty, and they processed it quickly. But for me, it was just like, hey, bye bye, and then I left. And then only when I came back, every time I came back, then I would experience grief. Because like, I don't know, when you live far away, it's harder for you to notice the absence because you're not, yeah, I don't know, yeah. So it was just like interesting because I remember the first day I came home, before I got home, I was just like, I'm saying when I was about to turn into my street, I was busy crying because I was like, nah, Misty's not going to be at the gates. And usually she's always at the gates to greet me, and like I knew she wasn't going to be there. And then it was just like weird because my parents had like done their grieving obviously when I wasn't here, so they were all like perfectly fine, and then I was just a basket case. So you also don't have to grieve at the same pace as everybody else. And yeah, I just thought I would add that because when you aren't actually here, or you aren't in the place where you're used to seeing your dog, for me it was just harder to grieve. It was only when I was actually here that I experienced it. So yeah, thank you for watching. And yeah, I am really sending love to you if you are going through something like this. And yeah, just know that your pet loves you in their energy form. They did love you when they were here. And I'm sending healing to you. Bye guys.